Are you a music artist? Let's say maybe a rapper, and you need video content like all the time? How do you make that happen? What if you don't have the budget to pay someone to do it for you? And if you do pay someone, what if they don't do it the way you like? Well, this sounds like the last 10 years of my music career. If you're an artist, you have a vision. And with some time, knowledge, and passion, you can make your own vision come to life. At the end of the day, it's all storytelling. And I find that thinking about my music through a cinematic lens helps me bring out the themes that serve the lore. Creating a story within the story helps me connect with the supporters on a deeper level. I want them to feel my music, not just hear it. In this video, I'm going to share some insight on how I created my own cinematic campaign for my upcoming music rollout. I'll break down the themes, the writing process, the location scouting, the shot list, and even the shoots themselves. Learn to move with intention. When you execute this into a mix that's unique to your own style and story, you'll earn the trust of your listeners and convert them into supporters. I watched a ton of movies and studied a lot of cinema. This cinematic rollout consists of 3 main parts: a teaser, a promo, and an official music video. In the teaser, you want to spark a new era. This one is targeted at your existing audience. Don't reveal too much. Be vague but intentional. You want your audience to feel like they don't know what's going on, but you do. It needs to set the tone for the following 2 pieces of media. The primary objective of this promo is to promote your single. The secondary one is to instill your presence. Sell yourself, selling your single. Supporters will want to get to know you before they get to know your music. Then, this leads them to the payoff. Your new existing supporters get to see the person they grew to like from the previous content do their thing. You've just told them the story. 3 plot points, the easiest pattern. People naturally want to go from start to finish. At this point, some artists might think, well, why? Who does music rollouts anymore? Most music's found on TikTok these days anyways. It's not that deep. Are you a rapper? Are you a movie director? Well, I'm both. For those of you who don't know, I'm Jed the Sloth, and I've been a music artist for over a decade now. But along the way, I fell in love with filmmaking. And I believe if you mix the 2 together with intention, you can provide an experience that you can't find with any other medium. Throughout my music journey, I've gone through a number of different eras, each with its own distinct story and tone. At one point, I was even a vampire and a pimp at the same time. Earlier this year, I took sort of a step away to really throw myself into creative influences. I didn't want to be pressured by the FOMO of social media and a constant need to be racing against nothing. As they say in professional wrestling, you gotta go away to come back. I believe that there's a difference between a fan and a supporter. To me, a fan is fluid. A fan likes you because you're popular. They like you when you're hot, but not enough to support you when you're not. A fan will stream your song, but these come and go in larger numbers on a wave. Most artists don't have fans unless they're big enough to create a wave. And if you're watching this video, then this probably isn't you. On the other hand, a supporter supports you. They're the people who love your work. They buy merch, they share your posts, and they contribute to your GoFundMe when you get cancer. Not every situation is that dramatic, but the point is a supporter will truly support your work no matter how popular you are. These are harder to come by. These require intention to earn. You don't need to be famous to gain supporters. What you need to do is put your heart, soul, and passion into your art. As an independent artist, this is the crowd that I'm passionate to serve. This motivates me to tell the deepest stories I can, to connect with the ones that need it the most. Yes, bro, it is that deep. Sure, there's easier and quicker ways to see results making music, but easy come, easy go. My primary goal is to provide value for my supporters. I founded WHITEDIRT on the premise of building something larger than myself. Valuable creative content will live longer than a TikTok, and the older I get, the more value I place in building a sense of community. If Coca-Cola went out of business tomorrow, it'd take 100 years or more for its brand to disappear from the earth, and it took them over 100 years to build it that way. I want to advance the culture, not just become a poppin' rapper. I grew up in Louisiana, a place rich in culture. Lately I've been feeling melancholy about the place I grew up. When I was younger, growing up here, I lacked the maturity or intellectual tools to truly appreciate the culture. Now that I've grown, seen some other places, and come back, I've grown to appreciate the place more than ever before. But now that I do, it's changed a lot. It isn't the same as it was from a bygone era that I romanticize, and art is a place for romanticizing. This is the feeling that music is grounded on. And I know a lot of my supporters will empathize with this shared experience. And with that, I've just set the tone for my rollout. I know its identity, therefore I know its path. The key is to communicate this to your audience with style and intention. The teaser. The biggest influence on this project was the 2000 Cohen Brothers film, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, which was set in the 1930s Mississippi Delta. Not all too different from where I'm from. One of my favorite scenes that has always stuck with me is when Big Dan Teague, played by John Goodman, is eating under an oak tree with Everett and Del Mar. Maybe it's just the swagger of John Goodman and his ties to Louisiana, but something told me I need to find me a tree just like that one. But it needs to be right next to a sugarcane field. At any given moment, I already have a Google Maps tab open searching the vast nature of Louisiana anyways. So I looked and looked each day for the perfect tree. Now you may be thinking, a tree? How in the world am I supposed to find a single oak tree? And to make it even more complicated, it needs to be next to a sugarcane field? This part, I really don't know what to tell you. There isn't some tree database that you can go check like regular filming locations. But to me, this is the entire point. I don't want it to be easy. I want to find a location that no one else is going to have the patience or the intuition to find. I believe this is what makes me uniquely me as a creative. I believe everybody has something like this about themselves. It's just up to you to find out what that means for you. Go live a little. Go to a place you don't know nothing about, which will lead you to try food you've never tasted, which will guide you to see a film you've never seen, which will introduce you to a song you've never heard. All of these different things are greater than the sum of its parts. This is why I need to make film just as much as I need to make music. Moving with intention is to be organized, and the primary tool of organization is the treatment plan. A video treatment is a loose document that serves as a home base for a specific project. You can organize yours however you see fit. Mine tend to change a little each time, but I always keep them detailed and simple. For me personally, a good old Google Doc serves the purpose because it's easy to use, dynamic as you need it to be, and shareable with other contributors. In this document, you're going to want to put things like screenshots of locations with address information, reference shots from influences, the crew and their roles, a shooting schedule, and sometimes even a shot list if it's short. For my teaser, I added a shot list to the treatment because it was short but detailed. Ahead of the shoot, my DP and I went out to the location and got test shots, so I was able to add them to the document, which made it a lot easier to communicate my vision to the crew on the day. There's the magic word, communication. Ask most any filmmaker, and they'll tell you that this skill has made them more money than any skill in their career. The funny part about communication is, it's sort of like hustle. It's an intangible skill. It takes practice to be good at. The more you communicate with your collaborators, the better you get. For this teaser shoot, I knew ahead of time our biggest challenge would be the sunset. I knew I wanted the sky to look a certain way to invoke a somber feeling. Anytime you do an outdoor shoot, you should be prepared to know where the sun's going to be. There's a ton of different apps to help you with this. In this case, I knew the area pretty well, but I used the Sun Tracker app on my iPad to get a precise time of sunset. I knew we were going to have less than 2 hours to get all the shots we needed, so it's important to know what shots you can spend the most time on. For this shoot, I knew we were going to have to shoot out of order. I used my reference shots to deduce we would need to shoot the drone shot first with one crew member, while the other two set up the next shot out of frame. I used the drone as a high-angle static cam. So I positioned the drone myself and then handed it off to a team member so I could act the scene. In post, I noticed my A camera was in the shot. I remember a YouTube video I recently watched where the Cohen Brothers did a shot-for-shot breakdown of their first film, Blood Simple. There was a similar high-angle shot where a car goes driving through a dirt field, and they pointed out how you could see the tire marks from the previous takes. They said that if it was the digital age, they'd just splice in the first take to mask out the tire marks.
And you can see it's take 2.
See, this is pre-digital when you simply would have replaced this
With the first take.
Yeah.
So I did just that to mask out my A camera in the shot. Next, we were able to get 2 different shots from the same setup. This setup is maybe one of my favorite shots I've ever captured. This one is where you can see all the layers of the environment in one shot. The foreground dead grass, the tree with the moss hanging, the dirt, the cane, the power lines, and the sky. A broad range of light acting in that classic checkerboard pattern you look for to create depth. Just like in Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood, our anamorphic lens really complements the landscape. For this teaser, I created a unique version of the song that fit the tone of this video, but also wouldn't spoil the song before release. It's slower and pitched down, creating an eerie vibe that fits the gravesite motif. There's a shot in the video where I sniff a tulip and toss it onto my own grave. In pre-production, I knew how long I needed each shot to be. So on the day, I assigned a team member to play the song and time each shot aloud.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
The last shot of the setup was getting a matte shot close-up on the Here Lies Jed sign to get the tulip landing in frame.
Mind you got about 20, 30 minutes before it starts getting dark.
Yeah.
The timekeeper did a great job letting us know we were running short on time, so we've hustled over to get the final shots of the day. We didn't have much direct sunlight left before it started to duck behind the tree line. We needed the most amount of key light of any of the shots that day because we didn't want to blow out the sky behind me in the background. One team member operated camera, one handheld lights, and the other shot BTS.
But you see how it's already changed. There's no lighting there anymore at all. But that looks so badass.
We just barely got all the shots off that day. But between the electronics failing,
You kick me out again. Okay.
Yeah, it kept crashing on me too.
the wasp stinging,
Ow.
and the heat, the shoot went about as great as I could have hoped for. A shoot with such precise vision would not be possible without a solid team and a well-organized plan. The promo is honestly one of my favorite parts of a rollout. It's where you really get to be yourself. In this promo, I got to dive into my themes, showcase my writing skills, and my acting chops. Not every artist needs to be an Oscar winner, but it's important to rely on your strengths. Once I wrote the teaser, the promo came sort of naturally to me. If the rollout is seamless to you, then it should be easy to follow for the viewer as well. Remember, you're not trying to write the next M. Night Shyamalan flick. You just want something easy to follow with a rewarding hook. In the teaser, there was no spoken dialogue, so it left a lot to be desired. This promo was a speech, so my aim was to fulfill that desire and then subvert the expectation with my hook. Once again, I took inspiration from the charismatic politicians in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It was a great opportunity to tie into my real-life Louisiana culture and emulate the late, great Huey P. Long outside the actual Louisiana State Capitol building where he served and was assassinated in 1935. Once again, allow the tone you've already established to guide you. We were shooting on the steps of the State Capitol building, so we were at a public place that houses our state government. This shoot was much more complicated and had a lot more moving parts this time. Not only was the sunlight a factor, but so was the weather. I knew I was going to need as many extras to form a crowd as possible. I sourced this in a number of different ways. I made a graphic flyer with all the relevant information on it to post to social media. I also reached out to an organization called the Future X Youth, which is a group of LSU art students who included my 2024 short film, Play Ball, in their film festival. I personally reached out to various different friends and colleagues, such as members of the pro wrestling stable that I helped found, Disobey, as well as members of the local music community. My DP commended me after the shoot, expressing how much that says about me that so many people would show up to stand in the hot Louisiana sun. This is a really important note. Projects like this are not just a chore, they are a community building opportunity. Sometimes it can be hard to ask for help, but if you've spent the time building a community like I have, people will willingly show up to be a part of your vision. Your goal with a rollout isn't to just garner support online, but to grow a grassroots support base, boots on ground around you. Remember, your presence should be valued to those around you. Roughly a month in advance, I was writing my shot list for this project. This was the first time I utilized Google Sheets to formulate a shot list. It allows you to easily place your shots in rows and share with other collaborators. Just like the teaser shoot, I went out to the Capitol ahead of time to get my own reference shots. For the crowd shots, I found reference photos online. Some from Oh Brother Where Art Thou itself. This makes it very easy to communicate what the shots need to look like to the team on the shoot day, especially when you have a bigger production with a lot of people involved. You shouldn't wait until a shoot to explain your vision. You should try to know exactly what you want and be able to communicate that efficiently and quickly. When you have 10 plus volunteers standing in an ever-setting sun, you don't have time to waste. Also, you don't know how much time volunteers will be able to give you. So I front-loaded all my crowd shots so I could dismiss them first and then shoot all my dialogue shots after. I cannot stress enough just how vital planning and communication is to the success of your vision. We were able to wrap this shoot in about 3 hours, and there's no way possible that could happen without planning, communication, and a sense of urgency. I had just purchased my Dana Dolly, and I was excited to use it. It adds another layer of complexity to your shoot, but it can take your shots to another level cinematically. Also, this shoot had lots of dialogue, so audio was another element that wasn't in the previous shoot. For weeks, I wasn't sure which route I would take to mic myself and the talent, but eventually, I decided I would hide a lav mic in creative ways, which ended up working out great. Lighting was sort of tricky because, like I said, we were fighting a setting sun in the late afternoon, but also scattered cloud cover, so sometimes we were getting direct sunlight, but other times diffused light from the clouds. We used the Godox SL100D with the Jackery as a key light. Anything less powerful and it won't be useful in daylight. I crafted a makeshift podium with a kitchen cart and a sheet. I placed one of my White Dirt t-shirts on the front and used my actual family Bible that I didn't know existed until about a week before that to act like I was reading from. Gear is important, but set dressing and making environments feel lived in is what's most important to my storytelling. I wanted someone who'd never seen me before to come across my video and think, "What the fuck is this?" I wanted the viewer to be sort of confused, but not be able to look away. Sort of like if an old lady flashed you her tits. Just like in a Cohen Brothers film, the story is built off of how interesting characters react to conflict. So as I am giving this heartfelt speech that nobody really knows what it's about, I subvert the viewer's expectations with one of the crowd members interrupting me with the exact thought the viewer is probably thinking.
Man, what the fuck this is?
In an age where content is king, you still need an official music video. This is where the setup of the teaser and the sale of the promo roll out into the payoff of the performance. Hopefully you persuaded people to buy in, and now it's time to gain their support. For my official music video, the only thing I was certain of that I wanted was a chemical plant in it. I didn't know exactly what I was getting at, but I knew I wanted to mix the pressure idea with plants, steam, and hard work. The irony of a chemical plant in the middle of a sugarcane field just wouldn't escape my mind. Generations of labor production yielding massive profits for rich people, and the only thing that's progressed over time was the technology to do so. This idea of a journey to hold on to the thing you love in the face of inevitable great change aligns with the themes of Oh Brother Where Art Thou. I knew I wanted a primarily performance-focused music video, so the shot list was a lot simpler. I picked 2 locations. The first was just across the street from a chemical plant in my hometown I grew up in.
Right here in Port Allen, Louisiana. That's Port Allen Middle.
I went there for 8th grade, trying to shoot for this video last weekend. I planned to shoot closer to that plant way over there, but there was a loft and security guard there. And we even asked her, she was a nice lady, but she wasn't about breaking the rules and letting us film there. On the first shoot day, since the first location didn't work out, we had to pivot. This brings up another important point. When location scouting, always find multiple backup locations. In this case, one of my locations was an old abandoned sugar mill silo on the outskirts of town. We had to get creative to make the silo make sense. It was vertical and we were shooting on an anamorphic lens, so we had to try some different angles. Once again, we used the sun to our advantage and provoked some pretty horizontal flares out of the lens. Just as we were about to wrap the first shoot day, I heard a train.
Level their dials and shit.
We gonna get one with the train? And I knew we were about a half a mile away, so if we were gonna be able to catch it, we'd need to start running.
Oh, there it goes.
Let's be running. Are you rolling up ECS? Let's go, let's get it, Joel. I wasn't super satisfied with the location at first, so running to catch the train was the best thing that happened to us that day. This was the perfect example of letting the magic happen. I've always said you want to control about 90% of the plan and allow for 10% creative chaos. This was a beautiful thing because just beyond the train tracks was an opening in the cane field and a big, beautiful cotton candy, Louisiana summer sky. We got some of the best shots of the entire rollout in this location, including the music video thumbnail. This location captured the soul of the project I was looking for. I was in love how the first shoot day ended, so I scrapped the second location, which was going to be at a convenience store in Baton Rouge. But one important element was still missing: the chemical plant. When we were driving home that evening from the first shoot, I took the river road home, and I noticed a different angle of the plant that I didn't think about before. Later, I got on Google Earth, and I noticed a dog park on the entire other side of the cane field that we had previously planned. I knew we could achieve the shot with my longer lens. So a few days later, me and a team member went out to the location after work and got the shots. This location turned out even better than the first location. We ended up getting these cool slow motion shots that went perfectly with the groovy outro of the song, as well as an experimental shot that had 3 of me on camera all at once. Once you've produced all 3 pieces of your content, it's important to plan your distribution. For my rollout, I knew a general date that I would drop the song, so I spaced each release a week apart, and I dropped the official music video the same day I dropped the song. It's up to you, but for me, I advertised each post on social media in different ways. You don't have to do much, but even boosting the posts as little as $5 a day for 2 weeks to a month can go a long way. It doesn't matter how much money you spend, as long as you do have some resources dedicated to a marketing budget. Remember, you are targeting support in a slow and organic way. Don't give in to the FOMO. You want to be present in space for a longer time rather than chasing big numbers. Once all your content has been released, start planning performance reels of your song and chopping your BTS into valuable experiences for your supporters. This will be the primary objective once your rollout is started. If you've been able to connect with your audience, then you should find new opportunities through this strategy. Let your music rollout guide you to take the next steps, whether that be designing merch, doing collabs like going on podcasts, or moving on to the next song. Most importantly, enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, then it'll be noticeable. Know what you stand for and stand on it, because it is that deep. If the art you're creating doesn't say anything in the first place, then it'll be hard for your supporters to buy into it, and it won't have any legs. If you learn something from the process, then your supporters will too. Remember, your presence needs to be valued. It's Jed the Sloth, the original play ball. Now go get inspired.